got the PWI 500. It's been a big thing being talked about. There's going to be more than a couple people in that PWI 500 that might be the next to leave AEW. So this was the original topic. And when we were talking before the show, Dave, you said Jade was probably the top pick you had as somebody that you saw leaving.
Yeah, absolutely. Even before all these rumors come out, she was somebody that I was really thinking about because she had disappeared from TV for a bit. And I mean, there was just such an upside there. And there had been stuff in her contract and everything. Like she had made some mentions on Twitter before where it almost didn't seem like she was happy. I don't want to speak for her, though. So it seemed like, this is interesting. Obviously, Brian Pillman Jr. Is the other one we believe is already signed. But, like he's somebody that I hope we see at some point. I don't know off the top of my head. As far as people I'd like to see go, Powerhouse Hobbs.
Hobbs would do well over there. And when we're talking about people leaving, it's not necessarily in the CM Punk way, even though that's happened recently. We have seen AEW quietly part with people like Sonny Kiss, Joey Janela. There's been others that have been just kind of not renewed, your Marco Stunts. There have been people like your Codys, reportedly your Jade Cargills.
Yeah.
Brian Pillman, I believe you'd put in that kind of same category where it's almost them making a decision to go somewhere else.
Yeah, for Pillman, it's smart too.
Of the people in there, I could see Powerhouse Hobbs. I'd say give Ricky Starks another year on AEW and then go over to WWE and make your star that much brighter. Because look what he did going from NWA to AEW. AEW to WWE could be 2 steps above. Put him in NXT. He could really bolster that division, almost like I see a Wes Lee doing right now.
A lot of good stuff, though, for Ricky Starks in the future, for sure. He's one I would not mind seeing at all cross over to WWE. And he's another guy in that Cody Rhodes nightmare camp. I'm sure they would love to work with him.
What about like a Private Party? They have been underutilized as of late in AEW. There are injuries, but even when they're good, they're not necessarily featured as much as like a Top Flight. And you've got a similar team like that. So even though they would blend in WWE, I think Private Party could, benefit from going over there.
Yeah. I mean, there's other people too. I don't know. I mean, this is obviously Ring of Honor, which is part of AEW. The Gates of Agony. I know they're not someone we really look at necessarily, but they're huge guys, that can move. Think that, they could automatically go up there and create some havoc in the tag division.
Reminiscent of like an Authors of Pain. I could see that. Yeah. I'm trying to think who else, because I didn't make a list to this going in. I kind of wanted to do it based on feeling, because with the AEW roster, who's featured, who's kind of the B-level stars, and then the people they have. Like, God, if I didn't think the WWE would screw up the Kingdom, I would say they would be great to go to WWE.
Yeah, I would trust them with that. Another interesting note.
Brian Cage as well.
Brian Cage is one I thought about. Obviously there's guys like Brock and Bobby Lashley and The Rock who have part-time status, who are not under the wellness policy rules. I don't know what Brian Cage could pass the wellness test and what kind of contract he would have. But yeah, if you get Brian Cage there and you can work something out with him, my God, that look, the ability. I don't know why this guy's not doing more in AEW. But one other thing, interesting note, we are talking about people leaving. You said we weren't going to really necessarily talk about Punk. It's funny, though. Punk did some commentary last night for Cage Fighting, and he had to comment. They asked him, so you're not doing anything right now? And he said, no, I'm not going to be busy for at least the next 2 months. And it was very interesting. He put down 2 months in there. And some people speculate, will he show up in WWE? And I think it's very interesting because right now you have another Saudi Arabia show coming too. You could hire a guy like Punk, do some business, make some big money, and there's a match with Roman Reigns.
I mean, that's just even reading like into it. If you look at it at the base level, when he says he has 2 months, there's a 2-month no compete at the very least. And that's something that I don't even think Tony Khan has released. And Punk's not even necessarily disclosing that. He's just saying he's got that time frame, and it's interesting to see that could get out there through that.
And another guy from a character standpoint left AEW with the world title at one point, got back, was calling himself the real world's champion, won that match with Samoa Joe in front of 87,000 fans. He had some momentum with his character in terms of an in-ring status. So you bring him back, you bring back his history with WWE. It's a hot match with Roman Reigns, and it's not somebody that I necessarily think we're all going to see them putting the title on at this point. But much like they did with Logan Paul for a little while when they did that Logan Paul Roman before Logan had a loss, it was something unique and it got people talking.
Definitely. Now, probably the biggest name that has always said he is likely to leave AEW has been talking about it, MJF. How do you see that going when he has to resign in 2024? Do you think he leaves?
Not necessarily. He's one I don't necessarily see leaving because he's talked about it so much that I almost feel like you're kind of foolish to let him talk about this unless, you have something up your sleeve that they probably have him signed already. So I'm a little skeptical of that one. But, God, I mean, if he were to leave, the guy would do amazing. You know what I mean? He would do amazing. MJF's future in a WWE, especially with guys like Triple H and Regal over there, especially if they're running the creative, sky's the limit. The only thing that would get him in trouble would be maybe if he just went a little too far on the mic in that corporate setting. You never know how that could backfire on you.